So, hey, how you doing? And you're probably wondering, why am I sitting out here? Well, I'm being taught a lesson in patience and being able to accept things as the way they are because there was a leak in the house and everything had to be moved and everything's in disarray. So here I said, hey, which is perfect for today because today I would like to go into dealing with some issues when you're using DBT skills, dialectical behavior therapy, to treat as a patient who or a client who's getting these skills. I was thinking about it, and I've been talking a lot about mindfulness because that's usually the hardest hump. Once I can get you over that and you start to use the mindfulness skills, then you start being able to grasp the other things that go in with it. And then I thought about it again, and I said, well, I want to make sure you understand because maybe you're like I am. I'm a big picture person. Some people are down in the weeds, bits and data people. And if you're one of those people, then being taught mindfulness and not questioning what else is going on or what's going to happen is kind of okay. And then when you're taught all the different things that go into the DBT stuff, then you can put it together and you're happy. And I'm one of those people where I need a big picture. I need you to break it down for me so that then I don't keep questioning, where does this fit in the picture puzzle? Where do I go from here? So, mindfulness, we've been talking about. I've been coaxing you a little bit on trying to get more mindful of things and understand things so that you can use the other skills. As you shift over into the other things after the mindfulness, the other skills you're going to be learning as you do this is skills for learning how to put up with shit when it goes wrong, distress tolerance, emotional regulation, which is being able to keep your emotions at a calm level or at least rein them in a little bit so they're not bouncing all over the place. And then, of course, interpersonal, talking to people, getting along with people, communicating, but also setting up boundaries and having healthy relationships. So those interpersonal relationships become very important. So forgive me if the sun is coming in really bright now, and you might even hear a little traffic in the background. You might hear some squirrels and birds and insects, but hey, it's all part of nature. You can handle it. If I can handle it, you can handle it. So come on. So today I would like to shift, but before I start, I wanted to show you a book that I have. It's one of the ones I've kept in here for a long time, and I hope you get a good look at it. It's not very expensive, and a lot of people ask, well, for good books, and I think it's good because it has lots of examples. It also has sheets that you can copy or make your own for writing down. Because one of the things DBT is very big on is actually writing down what you're working on. In other words, having a sheet of things that you effed up for the week and what you did about it and what you could have done about it. Keeping a daily log. And it's very important. See, now, if you think of the mindfulness, this goes in with that. In other words, paying attention to what you did. In other words, having a daily journal of, did I take my meds? How did I feel overall for the day? Was I anxious? Was I depressed? Was I okay? Was I blah? Did I do anything that would be considered therapy interrupting behaviors, which is self harming, not doing my homework, generally more not paying attention to what I'm doing, not being mindful? Did I have an argument with somebody? Those little things during the day, and then journaling what you did. And it can be just little comments, like, how did I handle it? Or did it go wrong? Did it go right? How many hours of sleep I had? What did I eat? And did I exercise? Did I meditate? There's a lot of things that can go onto this sheet that will help you track, because if you then look at them over time, you might be able to see a pattern. When this happens, this goes wrong. When I sleep better, I do this. When I eat better, I do that. My sleep's tied to my diet. They're tied to my exercise. It starts to become more evident. In other words, the sheet allows you to be mindful of what's going on in your life. Okay? So once you have the mindfulness skills down, you're ready to start shifting into the other areas. And one of them is distress tolerance. The reason why I got this book is that way you don't think I'm just full of shit and pulling stuff out of my ass. because I actually do read. I actually do get trained, and then I kind of assimilate it into my mind and do it the way I see it, following their principles and guidelines. And I even tell people when I disagree with something that a teacher or somebody's taught me, because I want you to have options. I want you to be able to see and understand different things so that you too can make decisions about what works for you and what doesn't. Some things might work well, some might not. The point is to be able to do them all and use all the skills. So one of the things that I got tickled about when I turned to this, and this is chapter 8. If you get the book later on, you can go through and look. Identifying problem behaviors. Laughed my ass off because this is what I'm trying to get you to do. See, if you look at that, you always come back to things that I've been telling you. I don't always paint everything I say in a very clinical, sterilized way. I say things in a lot of old-fashioned ways, or I give you little thoughts to think about that roll this around in your head, little mnemonics, little devices for memory. And one of them is I always steal that line from the Dune series of books, which is the first step in evading a trap is knowing of its presence. So here we go. You have to be able to first be mindful enough to know not just, ow, it hurts. Why does it hurt? What's going on? In other words, if you're not mindful enough and you come into the office and you plop down on the couch or the chair, wherever it is, you talk to your therapist and they're like, hey, how'd your week go? Oh man, it sucks. I'm so distressed. I'm so distressed. Oh my God. Great. What happened that made you distressed? I don't know. Everything went wrong. Everything. Try that again. What are you upset about? I'm just upset. I don't know why. Understandable. This is why I'm encouraging you to pay attention to what is going on around you and with you. See, the other thing is by writing that journal. Someone asked me, how do I stop a behavior? And I'm like, okay, you stop a behavior you don't by first realizing when you have it. At first attempt, you may not get it until after. Then you pull back, and later on, as you keep doing it and writing, see, this is the whole point of writing that daily journal. You realize, oh, wait a minute. When I don't sleep well, I'm a grouchy little shit. And maybe that's why I get into more arguments on days that I stayed up all night long watching Netflix or, playing my video games or on the phone. Or for those that do it, imbibing in substances or drinking a little too much of something you shouldn't be drinking. So once you note those behaviors, then you kind of know, oh, so if I stayed up all night long partying with my friends, yeah, I'm going to have a hard time going to work the next morning. And if I get to work, I'm going to be angry. I'm going to be mad. So part of learning to handle and fix and change your upset feelings is knowing when they're more likely to come on so you can be prepared. Or maybe you can change your behavior so you don't do that. Okay, maybe you decide that, well, there's a trade-off. If I know that I'm going to go out and party all night and tomorrow I'm going to feel like crap, I have to make a choice. I have to decide, do I want to go out and stay out that late, or do I want to come home? Do I want to cut myself off at a certain time from all this wild stuff and say, okay, it's time to go home and go to bed? Maybe I'm not going to binge watch until 5 in the morning and then expect to get up at 7. So see how it's a preemptive move when you start to know what it is that's causing your issues and identify it. One of the things that you learn is a chain analysis. And I really love this one. This is when something happened that you don't like, you put it on a piece of paper, and then you start putting things that happened before and after on that sheet, making a timeline, so that you can sit there and go, oh, okay, so I snapped and screamed at somebody. Well, okay, before I screamed, what happened right before then? I don't remember. They were walking in the room. Somewhere between they walked in the room and you snapped, there was a whole lot of things. There were a whole lot of thoughts. There was a whole lot of behaviors that led up to that. Maybe they looked at you and you didn't like being looked at, or maybe they were loud, or maybe they were playing loud music and so you start to identify everything. What emotion did you feel? How did you feel it? So, and again, these are things that are in this book. It's really cool because it's laid out in very easy layman terms. You can read it, you can flip through it and understand it, and you start to pull these things out. And great explanations. You don't have to do this one. There's a lot of other books that are similar to that. You can find what you want. I just want you to have some guides to go by and things to pull out. Now, dealing specifically with distress means that now you've worked through some mindfulness. You know when things are happening. You start to know what skills you need to use. And now you're basically writing down and putting those skills up in front of you. I advise people to take a card and use that card to write down what they can do. And sometimes carry it with you in your pocket. Sometimes you put it on the bathroom mirror, you put it on the refrigerator, you put it on the door to your room coming out. You put it in places so that you'll see it, so that you know when you get angry, what are my list of skills? And I advise you to also rate them on effectiveness. Which ones work the best? Which ones don't work as well? Which ones work only in certain situations? Okay? That way, you immediately have a card. And if you have somebody there to help you, they can go, hey, where's your card? Have you already tried drinking the ice water? And you're like, yeah, that shit didn't work. Okay, fine. What's next on the list? We'll go for a walk. Okay, well, then why don't you go for a walk? Well, I want to go by myself. Well, if I go for a walk with you, you think that will help. See, I can coax you through those things. And the people around you can coax you through those things. When you tell them, this works the best for me, you know, being able to fall back on things that help you with the distress you're feeling and pull yourself back down to calm. Now, maybe you can't get to calm. Maybe you can get from oh shit to damn. But you know what? If that's what you can get, that's what we'll take. It gets better over time. It's like learning a sport or another skill. You over time get better and better, and so that you're able to bring yourself down better and better. Okay? So this one's really good. Like I said, chapter 8, it goes right into identifying problems and running a cost benefit analysis. More paperwork, but easy paperwork. Take a sheet of paper, split it down the middle. What did you do? I got angry and I screamed at my whoever it was, coworker, child, spouse, friend, whatever. Okay. What was the benefit that you got from doing that? And what was the cost? And splitting them and going down. And people go, well, there was really no benefit to me screaming. Oh, hell yeah, there was. You were angry, and that allowed you to basically purge that anger out of you. And that's okay. Excuse me if I scoot over the sun. I'm a delicate dewdrop here. So it allowed you to do that. Now, there was a cost because now your friend is hurt. Maybe your friend don't want to talk to you or be around you. Or over time, they may want to have nothing to do with you. You may find that people avoid you for fear that you're going to explode on them like that. So see, there's your cost. Now your benefits is you may not even realize it. This is the whole point of writing these things down and going over it with somebody. Because here's a question. If irritating people avoid you, that's a benefit. Now sometimes it's both because the person that's irritating that avoids you, the benefit of that is they're not there, but at the same time, maybe that's the cost because maybe you don't have anyone else to hang out with that day and you just pissed off that person. Congratulations. You got what you wanted and you don't want what you got. Old story. Okay. So being able to then go and, all right, this is the cost, this is the benefit. Is there an alternative way to handle that situation? See, now I can reflect back and go, well, instead of screaming it down, maybe I can use one of my communication skills. See, and this is, like I said, this is a big picture. This is leading you into it. There are communication skills for getting your point across and being assertive without being angry or aggressive. In other words, talking to someone and saying, this is what's upsetting me, or can you please stop? This isn't helping. And instead of screaming at somebody going, okay, if you can't stop and we can't come to an agreement on how we're going to handle this, then I'm going to go off to my room, or I'm going to go to work, or I'm going to go home, or whatever it is you're going to do, and separating these things. So you see how it's important now to start writing these down. After a while, you'll get to where you just pull them out automatically, but you got to get to that point by practicing them. You may need to have each one listed on a card. This is how I'm going to handle this. And having the cards like a deck of cards. This is the way I used to remember foreign words, was to have a set of index cards, and I would write the word, and on the back I would write the definition. And I would flip through the cards over and over again until I memorized them. Maybe you have to do the same thing. If this happens, this is my card, this is what I'm doing. And you go through and you memorize those skills. Whether you know it or not, you've already your whole life been memorizing skills, good or bad. You've been memorizing maladaptive coping skills for a long time. Everybody has. So you're just basically finding a way to focus on the ones you want to learn, so that you don't use the ones you don't want to use that may hurt you, hurt your situation, hurt your friends, not get you what you want. Okay? So that's the cost benefit analysis. Really like that one. Okay? The other thing about distress is most people that have real problems dealing with stress have solutions that may not be good, those maladaptive coping skills, and figuring out how to resist the urge. Now, for some people, this is an urge to gamble, drink, do drugs, self-harm, scream. Uh, but there's lots of ways you deal with things, and you have urges to do that. Your first urge may be to run away. Somebody upsets you, and instead of talking about it, your first urge is to run away. How do you deal with it? Pulling back the mindfulness, dragging it in, is realizing, okay, I'm starting to breathe faster, and usually that is a sign that my urge is building to run away from the situation. What do I do? And what are my set of skills for dealing with this? Okay, calming breath. Maybe I need to stretch. You know, maybe I need to get a glass of cold water. Maybe I need to do something that helps me deal with that. Using those skills. So the idea is shifting now from mindfulness to distress tolerance. And also, while you're doing it, emotional regulation. Now, the mindfulness skills are already shifting you in to emotional regulation, which means being able to maintain and understand what's happening in your life, looking at what you wrote, and realizing that you can regulate a lot of what you're feeling even before you feel it. And then some of it you can regulate after you feel it. And over time, things start to have this calm center middle. There'll always be explosives. There'll also be down times where miserable things happen. But this is life. A lot of my clients get very upset because they say, I made so much progress. I didn't get into any arguments for almost 2 weeks. And then I got into a bad argument. And they see it as a loss. And I'm like, that's a victory. When was the last time in your life you went 2 weeks without having an argument? Like, yeah, but it's all ruined because I had an argument. And I'm like, no, that's life. Shit happens. Okay? Working with it, working through it, so that it happens less is the whole point. No matter how good you get, sooner or later, someone is going to poke the right button and tick you off. So then it becomes a question of, how did I handle it? How well? Did I blow up all the way to 100? Or did I keep my percentage levels around 50 or 60, where I just, fussed a little, raised my voice, stomped my foot, but I didn't actually scream or throw objects or, run out of the room? Everything's about dealing with it and bringing it down. Having enough reactivity to realize you need to do something, but being able to keep it down at a level so that it's not destructive. So now, as you can see, I'm trying to shift you from just the mindfulness to start using other skills. You're going to have to get your ass up and read a book. You can find a way around it by watching videos on the different things, and that really does help. Gotcha. You're at least going to have to read enough to be able to fill out sheets, because if you want to do this in a timely fashion, you have to hit it on all facets of your brain. Reading and writing, especially writing, is creating memory for those things that you want to remember. Saying it over and over again is one way of doing it. When you were a kid, saying the alphabet over and over again, singing it in a song was a mnemonic type of thing where it allowed you to memorize it by the song and the cadence of the song. Um, Old days, I had to memorize timetables. Now I understand y'all got calculators. In the old days, we just brute force repeated it over and over again till we memorized it. Learning how to spell. We didn't have spell checkers. Had to write that shit out over and over again. And I still am horrible at spelling because it ain't my thing. But that's okay. I'm practicing it. I'm working on it. So you can do it. Keep up the practice. Keep working. Remember the big picture. You're shifting from mindfulness into distress tolerance, emotional regulation. And the next video I'll put out, I'll try to speak specifically about some skills and ways that are geared mainly at interpersonal relationships, communication, working with people, and that all important step, healthy boundaries that'll allow that to happen. Okay? You have a great Sunday. I'm sending out lots of beautiful vibes. Um, and now I'm going to go clean some house. All right. Y'all take care. Have a beautiful Sunday. Peace be with you.